Hello, everyone. A quick disclaimer before we get into the episode. While it is called A Talk with a Beekeeper and we talk a lot about bees, Troy himself is not a beekeeper by trade. That's more his family. So, not all of the information in this interview may be 100% accurate, but it is all from his experiences living in a world in a beekeeper's family. So, enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of Specifically Devoid. And welcome to A Talk With, the series where we sit by the fire and talk with a cool person about the rad shit that they do. This week, we're sitting down with a good friend and a regular of the channel, but something you might not know is his family's involvement with bees. Let's welcome Troy to the podcast. Troy, how are you
Hello,
doing today?
I'm doing all right. I would be a little disappointed if everyone who's a normal watcher didn't know that we have a family business over here. Nason Family Honey, the thing that I shamelessly plug every time I'm on, as usual.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. How did that start? How did that family involvement start?
So that started because my mom she grew up with a lot of animals. She had something like 5 chickens. She had goats at one point, horses, and this was all through her span of her childhood. So she's very familiar with farm animals, having multiple different species to take care of. And she's a hairdresser. She works with beauty and like cosmetics and all that great stuff. And they pretty much, uh, how long ago was it? It was like we started when I was 5, so like a good 16 years ago. She decided to look into beekeeping because there's a lot of good qualities that the products from the bees have for the human body, for like the skin, hair, and health reasons. And because she's in the beauty industry, she was actually really interested in that side of it too, not only just keeping bees and making honey to sell
Mhm.
and whatnot.
So you started when you were 5 years old around? Were you
Pretty
like
much,
were you
it's
scared
as
of
far
bees?
back as I could almost remember.
Were you scared of bees before your
Oh,
family
I
started keeping
still
them?
am. I will look at them. I will only help with the hive itself when it is drastic times, which we have had a few of those
hmm What
where
what's your earliest drastic time that you can remember?
so this was relatively early uh when we had the bees. Excuse me. Um but it was, I forget what storm it was, but it was some really bad storm, and the entirety of our backyard flooded, and our beehives were floating away. So we had to go out in boots. My meme was around. She was like 70 at the time, and me, my brother, my meme, and my mom all went out. All oop, you flowers fell.
Yes.
All went outside in the tallest rain boots we could find, and all geared up. For me and my brother, it was a little toy hat. He had a fire truck hat. I had a safari hat with mesh just over it. We didn't even have suits, and my mom in suits. And we went out into the back of our woods. It's literally on the line of our property, and got as many rocks as we could find in our water just to place on top. Put umbrellas over it, hoping the bees wouldn't swarm and go elsewhere.
Right. That's got to be tough. Especially like the
Mm,
water factor, like you got to be worried about the bees' safety too,
exactly.
on
They
top of
they
all
are
that.
very resourceful, and they will get themselves out of danger. They are pretty smart, but it's like it's not quite like a hive mind kind of thing. That
hmm
whole fantasy thing,
Right.
but they use pheromones quite a lot and dances, which you can actually visually see them if you know what you're looking for. Just normally watching them, you don't even need to slow anything down.
Right. So the hives that beekeepers use?
Mm.
What is what how is that built? Like how is that set up?
So typically it's made up of, for smaller beehives, it's three main compartments. You have, I I don't remember the actual terms for what it is, but typically it's super, I want to say. I'm not even going to use the terms. Um, I haven't talked about beehives themselves in a quite a while, but it's where the queen lays her eggs, storage, and pretty much where they put everything else. Uh, a lot of bees are actually super organized, which is super cool, but they can become disorganized, which that happens when you start to see them making like honeycombs in a very strange pattern, not in the frames,
Right.
and it's all wooden boxes that we use. There are different kinds of hives now. There are certain hives that will break the honeycomb for you and let the honey drip out. We use the traditional box. You take out the frames. It's big rectangles. It has a little hexagonal shapes to start the bees off and where they want to put them, and they make everything else from there. And what we do is, for where the storage is for the honey, so when it's time to harvest, you take those out of the box and you smoke them up first. They eat a lot of honey. They get very drowsy, very, very calm. It doesn't harm them at all. Sure, a few bees might get squashed, but there's literally thousands upon thousands of them. It's really not going to affect the hive that much.
So when does like harvest start for honey?
So there's around so where I live, there's two times in a season that you could harvest. It really depends on where you're living and what the climate is.
Hmm.
Where if you're living in warmer climates where it's warm year round, I don't know exactly how many harvests you could get, but I would imagine it's about four, because we get about two, maybe more harvests if the bees are really good. The cool thing, and kind of it's I can't think of the word. It's a little bit of a letdown sometimes, because you really can't predict how the bees are going to produce in a year. Some
Hmm.
years you could get two to even four around here harvest, because they could just pump out that honey like bam, 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 bam.
Right.
Or some years you get nothing because you can't take all the honey away, and the bees need some of it. Sure, we make sure that the bees have enough food for the winters, and we do that through we mix honey and sugar and we feed that to them, but we won't take that as like our own honey. That's for them to eat.
Right.
Uh, and of course, they need real honey from flowers themselves, so we don't take all of it.
Mhm.
For the past 2 years, we've been pretty lackluster in the honey from our bees, but it has been enough to keep our business going and to be able to sell it.
Mhm.
But with the bees, you just never know when or what you're gonna get.
What's your favorite product that you make?
Ooh, my favorite product. Well, my favorite is probably the lip balm. Tangerine is near and dear to my heart, because
Mm.
when I was a kid, my lips would get super chapped. So my mom would always give that to me, and I was like, orange kind of thing. But if we're talking use wise, I literally put honey on all my food, like almost all my food now.
Dang.
Yeah, it's
All
I
of
don't
it?
I don't use a like
Like you're
you
putting
could.
honey on spaghetti and
Oh yeah, oh
wait,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Is it good?
It's a natural sweetener. So
Well, yeah. It's sugar basically. It's sugar but bees.
it's bee vomit. I
It's
love that
bee
fact.
puke. Bee
It's
puke.
bee
Yeah, that's so
puke,
metal. That's so heavy
right?
metal.
Right? And it's all natural too. So I will put it on just about anything. I don't eat it every day, obviously. That would be
Mhm.
a little bit unhealthy, but it's more of like toast, spaghetti if you want,
Mm.
and like I actually made a marinara sauce because I'm hanging out with someone today and I'm making chicken parm. But
Ooh.
I put a little bit of honey in that sauce, and sure, the it's already going to be a sweet tomato sauce, but it's also going to be a little bit more sweet because of that honey. And I only
Right.
put like I use a squeeze bottle, so I do like 3 second zigzag cross kind of thing. You
Gotcha.
don't need a lot because
Right.
it is super sweet, and it's just that good Mother Nature's jelly. It's like
Yeah.
kind of
You
how I
can
like to
you can taste
call it.
honey when honey's in something.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's so you make like lip balms and stuff. What's the process of flavoring those?
So we use fragrance with soaps, essential oils. Um, we do use some artificial scents, but we do label that and separate them for people who do have allergies and sensitivities to those kinds of things.
Mhm.
So like we have our soap boxes. We separate those between natural and fragranced, along with lip balms, lotions, everything else. We also have unscented, which we don't add any scents, so it's quite literally just the smell of the natural products itself. My mom actually took classes for about gosh, 2 or 3 years. She continued with the classes, and when she finally was comfortable to like do it in her own setting, we set up the basement to do that. Our
Mhm.
basement is very much not finished, but it is very much taken over by the bee products and whatnot. Like she's been getting into candles recently,
Mm.
and we don't send any of our candles right now. It's just beeswax, but like no matter where you look downstairs, there's going to be bee products, which is super cool. But yeah, back to recap on the scenting and whatnot. Actually, no, I think I explained everything already.
So with beeswax, is that's collected differently from honey?
So a little bit. So the cappings for the honey is we do collect that and we use it for the beeswax when there's excess beeswax. Like if they start forming honeycomb elsewhere around the hive, we do clean that up, and that is a sign that they need more space normally. So on top of that, to add on to this, we will add more boxes and frames for them to work with. So we could get more product, obviously, but we take it from the excess, we take it from the from the cappings from the honey that they store. Um, any hives that have swarmed or wild hives, we get calls. We collect those, take some of the things that they've already made and put it into the hive. We have special frames for that, and we take the rest and we melt it down. We actually use this solar powered melting. It I'm not even gonna call it a machine because it's not even that. It's just a wooden box with a window on top that you put the the beeswax in, and it melts it all down, and it goes into a drip pan. It's actually really cool. Funny thing is, it has burnt the wax a few times, so you can't do it on
Mm.
super hot days.
Yeah.
So
Dang.
it's a very cool process. Uh, Along with the if I may go on with collecting from the hives,
Please do.
there's a pro- there's a material that the bees create called propolis, which they use to sterilize the hive. Well, to sanitize it, to keep it clean. We use a lot of that in like our soaps, our lip balms, our lotions, and that has a lot more benefits than the actual wax. That's where a lot of the things that are like really good for your skin. So like let's say that you have really dry skin,
Mhm.
the propolis in our products is what helps to contribute help your skin and give it more uh, moisture and whatnot. It's not all of what helps your skin,
Right.
but it's quite a bit of it.
That's interesting. Yeah. So what do you think is something that a lot of people don't know about bees that they probably should?
So a lot of people, and I am going to come at some people is how it's going to sound. I do not mean this in any way. Uh, they can't tell the difference between certain bees, and that is understandable, obviously. But honeybees, bumblebees, especially bumblebees, they're not gonna hurt you as long as you're not like trying to clap them out of the air or some dumb thing. Like,
Right.
just let them be, let them live. I'm not
Let
even sure if they're on the endangered or close to being endangered anymore, but um, they're just living their lives, kind of thing. Uh, they're a cool little thing is if they seem more rounded in shape, they're probably a honey or bumblebee. If they've, especially in their wings, if it's a little bit more sharp, a little bit more narrow, those are the assholes. Those are her yellow jackets, hornets, mud wasps, especially if they're
Mm,
like really freaking big. Those are mud wasps. You want to stay away from those.
yeah, the ones that aren't doing anything but hurting us.
Exactly. Well, even those help out. They're sure they're more aggressive, but they're not awful for the ecosystem.
Okay.
Where bees is nothing but pros for the ecosystem. Like I'm pretty sure like the only negative thing that comes to my mind is they poop on my windshield, and it's really hard to get off.
Bee poop?
Bee poop. Yep.
What bee poop? What does it
Yeah,
look
bees
like?
poop.
Is it like
So
bird poop?
no, it is it's actually kind of weird, but kind of cool at the same time. It is like an orange yellow kind of like little worm looking thing, and it does stain. So like if you have any wood furniture outside and you see it on there, you're probably going to want to get it off as soon as possible because it does stain yellow. I have
Oh.
learned this the hard way.
Oh gosh. Yeah. That's
Yep.
it stains.
Yep,
I'm
bee poop
surprised
stains.
that's not something people realize. They're still everywhere,
Yeah. And like it's especially during winter, like they do go outside. Well, they don't really go outside, but they go near the like entrance exit and they do their business around there. But
Mhm.
another cool thing about bees, they create their own heat by flapping their wings. And oh, I forget what species, but I think it's somewhere in Asia originating. Certain bees have defensive mechanisms that they ball onto an intruder, flap their wings so hot that they cook it.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
That's
they
brutal.
reach that high of temperatures for
That's
some
brutal.
species, right?
I could not imagine getting caught up in that. Imagine being like a regular bug, not knowing what's going on.
And then all of a sudden, boom, you toasted, quite literally.
Bees coming at you like, I'm gonna fly really hard and then you're gonna die. And the other bee's like, try it.
And then all of a sudden you got a toasted cockroach over there.
Yeah. I
I don't
tried.
know, cockroaches are very resilient to heat, so probably not the best example.
Troy, as the utmost expertise of bees on this channel, I think it is only fitting that we have you rank some bees from worst to best. So I've
Ooh,
got
all
four
right,
here that you're gonna rank. You have the Honey Nut Cheerios bee.
all right.
You have Barry B. Benson from the Bee Movie.
But of course,
You have Bessie Higginbottom from the 2008 Nickelodeon show The Mighty Bee, starring Amy Poehler.
near and dear to my heart.
And you have the Bee Gees.
Also, well, I BGs are cool, but I don't know them that well. All right, so I am going to put the Honey Nut Cheerios fourth, BG's third. I'm sorry to all you B movie fans, but Barry B goes second, and I forget the name.
Bessie
Ah, this
Higginbottom from
is
the 2008 Nickelodeon
Higginbottoms.
show, The
Yes,
Mighty
I
Bees.
just I just know it's about bees, and I loved that show when I was a kid.
You're gonna have to explain your choices to me because these are some very hot takes. Why the Honey Nut Cheerios be last?
So, as much as I love Honey Nut Cheerios, I've never really enjoyed the character. It's never really seemed true to an actual bee, and like just the head shape, I can't get past that.
Yeah, look at that head shape.
Look at his smile. Like,
Is that what a
also,
bee looks like?
no, anatomically speaking, Barry gets it more on point
Yeah. So then
because
your number third was the more anatomically correct bee, the Bee Gees. Why number three?
so I should know who the Bee Gees are better, but I just don't. And honestly, that's like
Do you know any of their songs? You know,
I'm
Staying
sure if you
Alive.
play, hmm?
You know, Staying Alive.
No, yeah, but
Yeah, that's the Bee Gees.
if you played their songs, I would know them, but I don't know them by heart
Right,
or can name any of them. So that's why they're at third.
right. And Barry B. Benson, number two. Explain
Well, I mean,
yourself to all the
obviously,
explain yourself to the B movie fans why you placed Barry B. Benson over a
obviously Barry B.
character from a
Benson is
short-lived
a
television show.
high tier meme, but it's also a dead meme. Like, come on, guys, get some new material. Like, start making memes about bee poop and how awesome that is, or something. I don't know.
Tune in to the Instagram for some bee poop memes in the future. And of course, number one was Bessie Higginbottom for the 2008 to 2010 Nickelodeon show, The Mighty Beast, starring Amy Poehler, about basically Girl Scouts. Troy, why was this your number one pick?
That was like one of my favorite shows at that time.
Yeah, no, actually, same. Like I remember watching that show all the time.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad show, and I'm definitely not going to rewatch it because I'm not ruining my childhood memories of that.
God, it is so easy to ruin childhood memories just by rewatching this shit from when you were kids.
Exactly. That's why you watch someone else watch it and review it.
You know, I was just wondering because I've like been transparency. I've been to your house and I avoided the bees. Do you have friends who come over to your house and try to like play with them?
No,
No, never. You've never had a
no,
friend be like,
no.
bees.
Everyone, like literally, all my friends are horribly terrified of bugs.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
What do you think's the one thing people do wrong when it comes to bees?
Uh, I'm gonna have to think on that one.
Take your time, no worries.
Well, there's not a lot of I'm not very much into the bee community. That's a lot more my mom. My mom's definitely the expert on this stuff.
Mhm.
I just get all this information secondhand. So what I'm going to say is either not learning for the beekeeping community, not learning how to prep for winter, and or not learning what certain signs in the beehive are looking like for certain things called Varroa Mites. Those are little insect, little freaking disgusting little thingies. Uh, but Varroa Mites are pretty much little bugs that uh, they attach themselves onto the bees and they could actually infect the entire hive, and it just degrades the health of the bees so much faster, which a lifespan of a bee is probably like 2 weeks, and the queen lives for several years. But it just degrades their expectancy by so much. Not
It
not seeing the certain signs for certain diseases or bacteria even or
right.
invasions, it could be very detrimental to the hive and business if you are running one.
The queen really lives like several years.
Yeah.
Why is
It
there like
could
a
live
scientific reason why the queen lives so much longer than everyone else?
because they don't do as much flying. That's simply
Really?
it.
Wow.
So bee wings, they could last around 2 weeks.
Oh.
And then bye-bye wings, they deteriorate.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Oh,
All right,
also they
Troy.
need to survive a long time because, monarchy.
Yeah. All right. I have a question for you, and I think I've asked you this question before on the podcast. But to get your official stance, Troy, how do you feel about Sunny D?
Oh, you have asked me this. It's all right. I personally don't drink it. It is way too sugary for me. But if you like it, to them their own.
Pro or con? For or against?
I'm gonna say pro. Even though I
Pro
don't drink
Sunny
it, I'm gonna
D.
say pro. I have no problem
That
with it.
that puts us for guests of a talk with at 2-0 for being pro Sunny D, proving once and for all that it was actually just Micah's bad energy making people not like Sunny D and not the drink itself. Well, we have come to the end of the interview. Troy, can we get your products online anywhere?
Yes, you can. Just look up. Let me actually confirm this. Give me a second. We might have to redo that.
You can. Just go to hold up a second.
Let me see if. Yep. Okay. We got it. We got it. So, if you do want to reach our family business at all, you just have to look up Products of the Hive, and it should be the first link. It should be productsofthehive.net. It explains quite a bit about our products. If you need to get in contact with us, it sends you to my mother's email, I'm pretty sure. Or, yeah, it should be email. We might have our number on there too. Just don't go hitting us up at random hours. We will hate you for that. Um, any information that you might want or need to ask us, go ahead. We are very much open to questions, but we are very busy, so it might take a few days, it might take a few hours. Yeah. That's where you can reach us though.
All right, Troy, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of A Talk With. We'll see everyone back here again by the fire in 2 weeks for specifically Devoid 39, where we'll be talking with more than one person next
Ooh, sounds
episode.
special.
Ooh. For now, I've been me, you've been you. Bye. I love
Bye-bye.
you.